After several years out in the ocean, the 5 species of salmon that live in the rivers of Alaska return home. Millions of them approach the coast, heading for the same watercourse in which they were born, in order to carry out their final mission to perpetuate the species. The seals watch the orcas move off while the salmon begin their journey upriver. The first ones are the most fortunate. They have a little time while the seals make sure there is no danger before diving into the water. The salmon hunting season has begun. The passage is very narrow, so it's very easy for the seals. All they have to do is wait near the entrance for lunch to arrive. For the salmon, their own personal cavalry has just begun. The water is teeming with fish, and the predators hardly need make an effort. But it is precisely their sheer numbers that enable the salmon to survive. For every one caught, hundreds of others manage to slip past and into the river. Finally, after the terror, the first rest. Protected by the narrowness of the entrance, the salmon remain at the river mouth while they adapt to this new medium. In a few days, they will make the transition from salt water to fresh water, and in order to be able to tolerate this change, which would kill any other fish, their bodies have to undergo profound physiological transformations. Their nutritious bodies are also eagerly awaited inland, and when they arrive, thousands of birds gather at the river mouths. The salmon have finally reached the land they originally came from, but their odyssey has only just begun. Now they have to face seagulls, eagles, otters, and above all, the great predator Alaska, the largest land carnivore in the world, the grizzly. Hundreds of bears will take up their places along the riverbanks, eagerly awaiting the nutritious salmon. For weeks they have been feeding on grasses and berries, waiting for them to arrive. The time of abundance has finally arrived, and they will be sure to make the most of it. The first days are the most intense. The fishing territories are not yet established, and everyone wants the best place. Hunger and strength will decide who gets first choice. In just a few days, the rivers are full of salmon and hungry bears in search of food. The large males have taken up the best positions, but the young ones are not so fortunate, and a group of them decides to try its luck in a nearby stream. It would seem to be the ideal place, and there's no competition. But there's only one problem. There are no salmon in the water. They appear to have chosen the wrong stream. Sure enough, there are no salmon. Each individual salmon returns to the same river in which it was born, and the proximity of two streams doesn't mean there'll be salmon in both of them. Until they arrive, the young bears will have to feed on crustaceans, larvae, or other small animals hiding among the rocks on the bed of the stream. While the young bears continue to search for food, 3 new hungry mouths arrive at the nearby river. A mother accompanied by her 2 cubs. The bear cubs don't seem to be very interested in fishing. They've never known hard times. They've spent the entire winter feeding on their mother's milk, and their stomachs have never experienced hunger. The mother, in contrast, has spent months feeding her young and needs to regain her strength for the coming winter. With so much available food, the bears become less aggressive, but an adult male is always dangerous, especially when there are cubs around. The mother has smelt him and immediately goes on the alert. The stranger is heading directly towards them, so the female decides to move off, and when the male makes a sharp movement, she flees with her offspring. They will have to find a quieter river. The flow of salmon is influenced by the tides. At low tide, the current becomes stronger at the river mouth, and this, combined with the reduced depth, means it is not the best time to enter the water. There are fewer salmon, and the predators take advantage to snooze or play on the beach revealed by the outgoing tide. Six hours later, the process is reversed and the sea returns to reclaim the land. With the conditions in their favor, the tireless travelers again set off on their journey home. A long time has passed since they descended the same waters on their way to the ocean. Today they are finally returning to their origins, to once again complete the cycle of life. Thanks to their chemical receptors, the equivalent of the sense of smell in humans, while still out at sea, they detected the waters of their own rivers, much like people differentiate one perfume from another. And, guided by this, thousands of salmon dispersed across the Pacific Ocean again gather at the same place they left years ago, the river where they first came into the world. Their bodies have now made the necessary changes. Now they can live in fresh water and are ready to face the next test, the ascent up the river. The jaws of the males have grown longer and have developed sharp, ferocious teeth which they will use to fight for the females. In some species they have also acquired a characteristic hump. But the most important change is that in their gonads, their sexual glands. They have grown so much that they press against the stomach wall and prevent them from eating. They will have to conquer the rapids, leap up waterfalls, and escape from their predators without eating a single thing. In the river, they will have virtually no rest. Even along the calmest stretches, the current drags back any who do not struggle against it, so constant effort is required. With no possibility of feeding, every lost minute reduces their precious reserves a little more. And so the journey upriver becomes a race against time. Along the river, the salmon will establish their spawning grounds. Some of them will spawn near the river mouth, but others will have to travel hundreds of kilometers against strong currents before they reach their destination. And throughout the journey, there will be predators trying to prevent them from ever reaching their goal.